welcome to Echo Art with Carmella-T. So I am cutting out foam to make, this is my needle felting needle here, to make a little cushion or needle felting cushion or bed, as you want to call it. And so I'm going to share with you, I'm just taking a little coffee break and using this ceramic cup that has no handles, I'm able to really wrap this up really good and keep it super hot. But the mug itself keeps it really warm too. So I'm just using part of the quilt that we've been working with as a little mug warmer. So if you are new to the channel, we create with our recycled materials, fabrics, and supplies. And it's our way to give the earth a little hug. We find different little projects to work on. A lot of these projects are and have been suggested by the viewer. They're like, you know, I'd like to see a little bit more of the meditation, or I'd like to see more of the granny squares. And so it really helps direct me back and around to different projects that we've worked on. We have well over 600 videos now. And because I'm an eclectic artist, you'll see many different projects. I've tried to focus on just one type of method and style, and it's just basically impossible. So this foam, I'm just going to put this like this. You're going to see a bunch of foam. Look, there's a bunch of foam here, and I've cut out a couple of pieces. And this is just the little bed I had made myself, and it works really well for small projects. You don't need like all of this foam unless you are, I mean, look at this, it goes all the way over to the wall. Unless you really are going to you're making something huge. So these measure, and this is about what I'm doing here. These measure, I think it was 7.5, yeah, about 7.5 by 7.5 or 8 by 8. So they're very close to 8 by 8, just a little over 7.5. I'm going to put this over here and just keep that wrapped so the quilt keeps it warm. And I'm going to, yeah, but just put the camera over here so you can see what I'm doing, because this foam, so I'm just using one piece to kind of, replicate the pieces. And if there's anything that's in the foam, or kind of stained or whatever, I just cut it off. That's all. And then I have a really nice piece of foam. So what I'm going to do with this is, now a couple things you want to do. This is not, let me just say it like this. This is not an absolute, okay? It isn't. However, foam works really, really well. And this is the reason. You can take your needle, okay, that goes through beautifully, okay? There's no hesitation. Now, the other thing that I'd like to wrap the foam in, I'm just playing around with this. I'm making it like mine, but I'm going to use 2 pieces of foam, okay? And then I'm going to wrap it here in the batting. It's fill, it's not wool. So the needle still goes through beautifully. But guess what? I wanted to take, the only reason I'm showing you to test it, you want to test it because this flannel, I'm like, well, when I was doing Boro Sashiko with this and using this as a fill or a batten, it was beautiful. The needle went through beautifully. But guess what? I put this down on here and I test my needle felting needle, okay? So I need wool here, but it's okay. We don't need the wool. And I get some hesitation. That should, here, let me just put this up here. This should, let me show you. So with the batting and the foam, that goes through beautifully. just beautifully. No hesitation at all. I put the flannel, which I was thinking would be nice, and there's hesitation. I should not have to try to push that native felting needle down at all like that. That should be in now in about an inch, and it's not. So you put this back, here's your test, and you just put it in. Beautiful. That's beautiful. So that's what you want. And so this flannel, unfortunately, I cannot use that. That is not going to work. So the only reason I was thinking of using it is I thought how nice it would be to just cover it with this nice piece of flannel. So it's possible this has a mix of something else that's not pure cotton, excuse me, and or like that. So what I'll probably do, and so what I did with this one is I tied it just once horizontally, and I think I'm going to think of something else with these because this was for me. This was just a makeshift needle felting bed for me. The nice thing about these is I can turn these around if I want because it is getting worn here. But I only tied it once. So I'm going to be coming up with something else with these. So I have lots and lots and lots of this batting. And so that's what I'm doing. So what I'm doing right now is I'm cutting out these pieces and I'm just using one as a, I'm not drawing a picture of a square each time. I'm not doing that. What I'm doing is just using one piece and I'm cutting straight across, and I'm not using a cutting board or anything either. I'm just simply getting an approximate measure because this is something that is it's a tool, and it doesn't have to be this particular type of tool. It doesn't have to be precise, but you need it to be at least a little so it doesn't have to be this as high as this is, but it does need to be at least two of these, because when you put this in, when you put the needle in, see, look, you see how, if you can see it right there, it goes right through that top. You definitely need that second layer. So, okay, so how high is this? This is about 2 inches. And I want to make this about 5. Okay, I want it about 5. So I'll be taking batting and I'll be putting it either in between and on top and then tying it and securing it. Because why am I doing that? Because I want there to be a nice amount of cushion. I don't want it to, the needle to be able to sink in, let's say either to, I'm going to go over this way for a moment, either to the table where it would break if it hits the table, you're going to, or if somebody inadvertently wants to sit the cushion on their lap, that's going to be quite the issue. So we're going to make a bunch of these, and it's a good thing I have just so much felt. Now, if I didn't have this much felt, I would be making them smaller and just a more efficient, just for an essential. So that, but we definitely have enough here. I mean, so I'll be using 2 of these squares to 1 of the cushions. Now I'm going to show you I'm just going to kind of go about like that, and I'm going to sit back over here. I'm using this big table. Look at the size of the bag that I have. Okay. So that was gifted to me. That's the size of the bag I have of batting. That's why I can make these. And it's really good that I can make them. So I just wanted to show you that to test your with your needle felting needle, anything that you're stacking and using for a cushion. You want your needle to be able to go in easily, and you don't want it to be coming back down through here. That's why I just threw on this back. This is makeshift, like I said. The ones that I'm making right now are going to be, they're going to be much more, they're going to be constructed with a little bit more, let's say, they're going to be more constructed. They're going to be constructed with a little more cohesiveness, let's put it that way. So, this one here, and this is just, and I'm going to go like this until all of these are cut and stacked. And then when they're stacked up and I've made up a bunch of them, I can share that with you also. And I'll share with you how I made them a little bit more cohesive, because that's another thing. You want to give yourself time to play around with that. This is very nice here, but you don't want this as your surface. You do not want that as your surface, even though, you know, it looks nice and whatnot. You want flat. You want a flat surface, whether you use an old pillow that is flat. Sometimes you can use the rounded pillows, and the rounded pillows are really great for shaping, or you're going to use it for modeling. And I'm going to show you a couple other little things I'm going to make, particularly for this class, because they're going to need a couple little things to make their life easier for making mushrooms. So now what I'm doing over here is I am cutting off the stain. It's just an age stain, that's all that is. But I'm not really able to use that. Now I'm going to keep this, so I'm going to cut that off, but I'm going to keep the good piece because, like I said, you can use foam like that wrapped in batting, especially, just to give it a little bit more structure for modeling, okay? So that's what we're doing here. And this is lovely. Do you know foam seriously is expensive? I mean, it's expensive. There's no way I could get all of this. And there's just no way I'd be able to even afford all of this, because this would be like $50, at least $59 worth of foam. And these are remnants, but my son had the awareness. He realizes that how expensive this stuff is, and that I use it all the time, especially, you know, teaching a class. I like to come with the supplies, because when you try to tell someone what supplies to get on something they've never done before, that's very difficult for them. They really don't know where to get it. They don't know what to get, and that's just the way it is. It's difficult. So it's much easier as an instructor at teaching this if you can just bring your supplies. And that way you're introducing it to your students, to your participants, to your artists. And then that's a lot of stress, because you try to get them to get all this stuff before the class. That's stressful right there. And you want them to enjoy the class. And you know what to get. You know what to get, and you know what you need. So you can prepare, just, you know, as an artist, you can do this. So anyway, I'm gonna go on like that. This has a little stain there. So I'll just be cutting that piece off of there. And then, and I have a whole nother couple of these. One, two, the bottom one is thin and pretty well worn, so that would probably just throw that piece out. But anyway, this is, so I've got 2, 4, 6, 8. Okay, so guess what? We need at least 20. So, you know what I mean? We could go with 24. And we're easily going to get that out of these. So I'm super happy about that. I'm just going to cut this here. And again, I'm just cutting off the age stain. That's all that is. So you just cut off the age stain. And now I've got to tell you, I was taken aback somewhat a little bit. I went to the landfill, and there are a number of things that had the recycle symbol on them. They did not take. And so one of them was some of you may already know this, but the plastic, like a different color plastic, they won't take that. The creamers, the cream cartons, they don't take those. So that means they don't take milk cartons either. Anyway, I was a little taken back. I had to bring it back and put it in the garbage. I was right there at the landfill with all these bins all over the place, and they wouldn't take it. Just saying. I was a little. I'm not saying they're the only ones, because they're not the only ones doing that. I'm just saying that's where the system, I think, you have a bag of a bunch of things that's saying they can be recycled. Maybe there would be a bin there for those, is what I'm saying. Anyway, so I bring it back and put it in the garbage. It just doesn't seem right. Anyway, maybe some of you have experienced that. I don't know. But, okay, so I'm just going on like this. And if you have any questions, on different recycling items you're using, or you have something, you know what I do when I'm at the thrift shop and I see something and it's like I don't use it. I'm like, or I don't I can use it for, like in the art world, but I'm intrigued by it. Many times I'll get it. And then sure enough, it could sometimes be a year or two, just like with those little buckles, those little faux leather buckles I ended up using in the fashion show. And I didn't even think I was going to use those ever. I didn't have any idea what to use with them. Okay. So anyway, if you have an old pillow that or if you go to the thrift shop and you get an old pillow, that is another way to get this type of foam. And yes, of course, you can go to Hobby Lobby and you can buy a package of it, but it is quite expensive. And if you're out there, or let's say you just want to use this to make, because guess what? We can use foam to make a lot of little crafts. And I'm going to talk to you about that because I came across a DIY, and it's basically just a magnet, but they're, and I would eliminate the foam part of this particular magnet. I just like the idea, like a little magnets for Christmas, like using fabric to make it like a little present type deal. But in this video, they're using foam to, I guess, give it a little more thickness and whatnot. So now, with that said, if I do some real research on how to use foam with different projects and stuff, I will reference you to who and what that person is if we make something specific for sure. So anyway, with this is cutting beautifully. These are lovely, lovely pieces of foam. I mean, really. Okay, 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12. Okay, so that's good. So because we're using 2, we're going to use 2 for each cushion, and we need 12. We need 12 cushions. So we need at least 12. We need 12 because we've got for sure our 10 participants. But guess what? We have a few more come in. We want to have a few extra of these. And how nice is that to be prepared? And it only takes a few more minutes from the whole little set that we're making. And so anyway, I'm going to go about like this. And when they're all done, I'll come back. And like I said, as I go along, what I will do is, there's a number of projects today I'm actually going to be touching upon. So, and I will bring you with me. But I hope that this gives you some idea on the process and what you can do. And, the other thing I'm thinking as I'm going along, the other thing is these could have even be round. They even could be round. They could be round. But the nice little square one that I made myself just works fine. So with that said, yeah, if you do go, let's say you go into a thrift shop and you find you gotta double check the pillows, because some of them, and it will say, some of them will be down feathers, you know what I mean? Or they'll be broken up pieces of fill. You gotta make sure it's foam. And you can tell by just kind of, just pick the pillow up and just hold it for a few minutes, and don't, you really don't want to start unzipping them, because you don't need to do that. You can tell if they're foam. You'll be able to tell. And so this is lovely. I'm really, really happy about how easy this is to cut. I wasn't sure if it really was going to be such a trial, such any, it's just foam, but still, you never know. So I'm just going along here and cutting the whole thing, and I'm really happy about that, because I really thought if I didn't use it in a few months that I would discard it. I thought that, but I'm glad that we're able to use this. And look at all of this would have been going in the landfill. Now people are going to be able to use it and create with this. There, and the more I do of these. So again, these are about 8 by 8 or 7.5 by 7.5. Some of them are, I'm noticing, maybe a little larger as I'm cutting, and I'll probably just come around and trim them a tiny little bit if I need to. But I mean, you can see the process isn't taking that long. 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12, 14, 16, 18. Okay, that's pretty good. Got 18. Now, the reason some of them are on an angle is because I'm going ahead and just cutting, like if it's cut like that, I'm just, for the moment, just cutting that extra, just cutting it right now. Just we'll trim it after. But I'm just like cutting it with the little piece jetting out a little bit, because and that just helps me move along a little bit too. So, and so this will be an extra piece. And I will show you why and how some of these foams can be used as models, as modeling, because when you do needle felting, there are so many intricacies to it. Um, Seriously, I mean, there's so many different techniques that you can be using for needle felting. Okay, so I guess that's pretty much it. And then what I'm going to do is I gotta get a few more here. Is construct this and I'm going to construct them, and then I'm going to come back on here. And I guess it does make a difference if you're standing straight and cutting straight or cutting on an angle. From what I can see here, it makes a little bit of a difference on the shape, or maybe on the thickness here. So, oh, that's pretty good. 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12, 14, 16, 18, 20. That's a really good 20 right there. I'm not going to sit over here for a moment. So we're going to go ahead and make 24. Now for the next class, we'll probably make about that many too. So today I might just kind of whip through and keep cutting and see how many that I can get out of this, because I think that would be a great thing to do. Because then what I can do is plan if I need to start scouting for more foam, which I probably do at the thrift shop, at the thrift shops. And you know, a lot of times if you tell them that you're scouting for this and you explain to them what you're doing, it's really beneficial to you, because people they bring things to the thrift shop that the thrift shop will tell them no. They'll have to tell them no, because they don't have any way to get rid of it, or they typically can't get rid of it and stuff like that. So if you tell them that what specific you're looking for, they may say, hey, to the person who is trying to donate, that, okay, we'll take that because we do have someone interested. So always let them know you're interested, because that helps them figure out what is, like, I asked a few times, I asked about art and craft section at one particular thrift shop. They went ahead and added an art and craft section. Now they did have art and craft things, but they went ahead and actually, you know, focused on creating a section for art and craft. So if you say something or ask something, it helps them a lot. Okay, so we got all of these in real time. It did not take long at all. So what I'm going to do is just go ahead and construct these now, not just the foam, but as you know, okay, I have all of this batting. So I'm going to clear the table, and then I'm going to cut pieces of the batting that will, and I've got to figure out how to do this, but I want to say, this is kind of what I'm thinking right now until I actually do it, but I won't know, but I want to fit it on top, you know, so it's nice and neat like that. So it's a nice and neat top. So, and then, you know, just kind of put a couple strings. I would like to tie it with something that my needle felting needle can go through, because what I tied mine with is a string. So needle felting doesn't, the needle doesn't go through that. But because I just made this makeshift for me, I'm like, okay, I know where the string is, that's fine. I'll just, you know, needle felt. But I would like this to be seamless. Let's put it that way. So if I can figure out a way, and so I'm going to play around with that. And no, you cannot use glue. Because this will not go through glue. I could hear somebody out there saying, just glue it to the top. Even if you used a couple dabs of glue and this hit that glue, it may break the needle. Probably would break it. But it's a good idea. But you know, with that, you could just kind of maybe use a couple stitches too. So I'm going to think about it, and there's so many different ways we can do this. So I'll see you shortly, and hopefully all the beds will be made up. And with that, you have an absolutely beautiful Saturday, and a love and light.